Before we get started, if you like what you see today and want more content from Phyrexian Pit, please hit that like and subscribe button, and be sure to smash that bell to stay in touch with all the videos that we put out. Hello everyone, this is TJ with Phyrexian Pit, and I am joined today by Charlie. Charlie, how are you?
I'm doing very well. How about yourself?
Hanging in there, doing well. So today we have our first couple matches for our Gauntlet of Jank. Our first deck, we're looking at 4-color New Perspectives taking on Chandra Tribal. I'll be go ahead and playing the New Perspectives deck today, and just to walk you through what we're looking to do, we're looking to land an enchantment called New Perspectives. It's a 6-mana enchantment that when it comes down, draws us 3, which is good, and it also has, as long as you have 7 or more cards in your hand, you may cycle for 0 rather than cycling costs. What this means is our deck is full of cyclers, and we're looking to get around playing their cycle costs. So the ultimate win condition is Approach of the Second Sun, and we're looking to cast that multiple times in a game and untap our mana using Vizier of Tumbling Sands. It's a very dirtily deck. There isn't much going on aside from the actual combo in and of itself. It does have a couple options post-board, in that it can bring in a couple other win conditions, notably in Drakehaven, to try and get around some of the controlier matchups. And then in addition, it has a Sphinx of the Final Word as in there as well. Charlie, do you want to go ahead and walk them through your deck?
Yeah, so I'm playing the kind of spicier build here. It's not a tournament deck, at least. But this is Chandra Tribal from the Against the Odds series. And as we know, Chandra Tribal is actually pretty good when Seth was playing through it. So basically what the deck wants to do is you want to get out as many Chandras as possible. The main engines being, the 6-drop Chandra, Awakened Inferno, the 4-drop Chandra Fire Artisan, because that lets you draw cards, and the -7 basically wins you the game. And then, of course, Chandra Acolyte of Flame, because it has that sweet ability that puts loyalty counters on red planeswalkers you control, or you just get a couple of nice elementals to, get some bopping in. And of course, we got to run Chandra Novice Pyromancer and Flame's Fury as well. The Pyromancer obviously works very well with the aforementioned Acolyte of Flame. You can pump up your elementals and get in for actually some pretty good damage. And then the biggest other card that we should, I think, mention before I kind of kick it back to you is Chandra's Regulator, which is absurd in the deck, as Seth put it. And it's true. Everything is just mountains, so all we're really doing is just, if we can get the Chandra's Regulator out, you pretty much want to use it as much as possible, because you can just filter so quickly, and it has that added bonus of letting you pay 1 to replicate a Chandra Planeswalker ability. So just really, really good, really gas. And then, you've got your shed of removals and treasure map. So will be useless against your New Perspectives, but...
Oh yeah, it still should be an excellent matchup. On paper, when you
hmm
look at these decks, you really think that this is kind of one-sided, but
hmm
in playing the practice matches, I think that these decks are actually closer than they look on the surface. Mono Red has some potential to go off and win some games out of nowhere. It's got some explosive things, and especially with that regulator that you put out.
I
So,
100% agree.
so are you ready to hop into the gameplay?
Let's do it.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and mute you, and we'll check in after the gameplay.
Sounds good.
All right. Gauntlet of Jank, Game 1. New Perspectives versus Chandra Awakened Inferno. And we are on the draw, and unfortunately a one-lander I do not believe we can keep, so we're going to have to mulligan this. All right, this is looking like a better 6. I think we keep it, and as tempting it as is to put a land to the bottom, I think we're a little worried. We can always cycle one of these later on. We'll go ahead and put Renewed Faith to the bottom, even though it does gain us some life. We just want to make sure that we hit our lands in order to get our New Perspectives down, because pretty much once we get the New Perspectives down, it's pretty well game over. So on our turn, we're going to lean on the Scattered Groves, and we'll play that, and we'll see how it goes from there. Our opponent is playing a mountain. There's certainly some cards that are pretty good that he was not able to play, so that's a good break for us. One of the best things that he can do in his beginning game is to play a regulator. Just because it allows him to double up the Chandra activations, it really does a good job of getting in for early damage, which is definitely something we are afraid of. So our goal is to just survive long enough to get down our New Perspectives and combo off and win. He still isn't playing anything. He must not have had a very good opening hand. Alright, Shefet Monitor, that's a really good one. It gets us a land out of our deck, and in this case it'll get us our island that'll let us play our new perspectives, turn 5. So I think we're in pretty good shape to get the W in this first round. Next turn we'll look to cycle the Shefet and go from there. So, Chandra Novice Pyromancer isn't exactly the best Chandra. She does tick down for mana and does 2 damage for the most part, but that's all she really does. On this board, she does a whole lot of nothing. We did get another Vizier, which is really important to our combo once we start going off. Hopefully we'll draw a Weirding Wood pretty soon. We're going to play the Plains here because we want to cycle the Shefet Monitor at the end of turn. We do need to draw an untapped land in order to go off next turn, but we're not really being pressured on the board, so I think that we're pretty okay with where we are right now. Ticking down for mana, and he's playing Big Chandra, who's normally really good, but in this matchup, she I don't think is as good as she normally is. You have to wait a while for these emblems to stack up and deal damage. We're at 20. We're nowhere close to dying anytime soon. So we got all the time in the world at the moment, even if we don't get to go off tomorrow. Or go off next turn, I should say, not tomorrow. Ooh, so another Vizier, which again is really good, but still no untap land, so we play it slow. We'll play our irrigated farmland past the turn. Regulator is really good. He can actually get positive mana using this Chandra, and he can deal quite a bit of damage with the Chandra Awakened. But it looks like he's just going to shock us. Try and accelerate how much damage she's doing in a hurry. Gonna give us 2 tokens. Okay. He's off to a good start, but like I said, I think we just win on our turn as soon as it comes back to us. Now the matchup does get a little bit better for him after sideboard because he's got a lot of creature interaction, and we don't really play creatures except to cycle them. So we'll go ahead and lose 3, and I think we just get to Windmill Slam our new perspectives and win the game. So we'll go ahead and play that. We'll draw our 3 cards, and we'll start cycling. Now we're looking for other Shefet monitors. That would be really nice if we drew some of them. The Viziers let us untap some lands to continue to try and look for creatures as they come about. Alright, right now we're actually do not have any black mana. So I think I actually have to untap my forest and then traverse to go get a black mana. And once I traverse, we drew another Vizier. And once I traverse, we're going to have Delirium, so future traverses can get creatures. So the fact that we got our Viziers so early, I think is really does well for us. What it does is it allows us to continue to tap down our mana, and Shadow of the Grave returns everything that we cycle back, which just means that we get to keep going again and again. So we're going to cycle another Vizier and untap our swamp here. So we'll just go ahead and keep on cycling, and then we'll return all of the cards that we cycled so far. We probably should have kept going there with more cast outs and the like. We'll go ahead and do that now. But we're in really good shape at this point. Go ahead and cycle our other cast out here. Looks like he's just F6, accepting his fate, whatever comes of this. We're going to go ahead and cycle this to untap a forest. And the reason we're doing that is because we want to traverse here and go ahead and get our Shefet monitor. The less lands that we have in the deck, the better off we are. And this helps us thin the deck from lands, and it also is essentially mana neutral because we had to pay 1 green in order to get it, but now we get to fetch out a green mana from our deck. And so it was essentially free, and it thinned our deck. Unfortunately, That traverse doesn't really do too much because we're all out of basic lands, but we still have plenty of cyclers to keep on going. At this point, we're just looking for our weirding wood more than anything. So we'll just go ahead and keep on cycling, and eventually we'll get there. It's just a matter of finding it. The fact that we haven't found one in the top 40 cards or so is pretty below odds, but what do you do? It isn't against the odds deck anyway. Go ahead and cycle our other cast out here. Irrigated farmland. Another cast out. Keep on cycling. We'll get there eventually. Just looking for our last piece. Irrigated farmland. Haze of Pollen. Chefette Monitor, just to draw a card here. We're starting to get a little low with the amount of cards in our deck. Again, we still have 3 Weirding Woods. The fact that we haven't got one through 47 cards is a little disappointing. There it is. So now we can play our Weirding Wood on any land. It doesn't really matter too much. And now all of our Viziers start tapping for 2 mana, which is really what we're looking for. Once they start tapping for 2 mana, then we can start getting to approach and doing fun things with that to win the game. So we're going to cycle another Vizier and untap our Swamp here. So that'll pay for our next Shadow of the Grave, and we got plenty more where that one came from. So now we're just adding mana, slowly but surely. Cast a Shadow of the Grave, get everything back, get back all of our Viziers, and repeat the process. So we'll save the target and we'll always yield. So that way we automatically untap. Just to speed things up a little bit. So we continue to grow the amount of mana in our mana pool. We're going to go ahead and cast our Approach of the Second Suns at this point, just to put it back in our deck, try and ensure we don't deck ourselves out accidentally. But at this point, we got the game pretty well in the bag. It's just a matter of finishing out the combo. Cast a Shadow of the Grave, get everything back. Now, one thing that this deck would most certainly benefit from is Thassa's Oracle. Being able to just instantly win on the spot is pretty good. So we actually have enough mana, and we can just cycle until we hit our final second sun. At this point, we'll just go ahead and do that. Now that we got our approach, we'll go ahead and cast it, and that's the game. Alright, sideboarding here, we do have a couple things that we could potentially bring in if we needed to. In this matchup, though, there really isn't anything going on that we need to bring stuff in for. Kefnet could be useful because it's a blocker, and potentially he doesn't have any ways to interact with it. But for the most part, he's trying to go wide with tokens, so it's really not great. That's the only thing that we'd really think about bringing in. Radiant Flames can wipe out a board full of stuff, but again, most of his tokens die at the end of the turn with the first Chandra. So we're just going to go ahead and run this one back. Game 2, New Perspectives versus Chandra Tribal. Looking at our hand here, it's a bit slow with all the tap lands. We do have the Chefette Monitor, which is nice. The Cast Out. The card that we're most scared of in his sideboard is Sorcerer's Spyglass, and Cast Out is actually our answer to the Sorcerer's Spyglass. It can exile it. So I think we're going to keep, just because we do have an answer for what his most disruptive play could be. Now this hand is a little bit slow. If he comes out of the gate strong, we could be in a bit of trouble. And we're just going to have to see how that goes. What we're most scared of this turn is probably a Regulator. Regulator just is so powerful in Chandra Tribal. Just doubling all your Planeswalker's abilities it's insane. Still haven't hit our 4th land yet, which is a little unfortunate, but not a big deal yet. We still got a couple more draws at it, and we do start to getting in there for some life gain with Renewed Faith starting on our next turn. Again, he has a really slow start. Looks like he did take a mulligan down to 6. So we're going to go ahead and play red since we don't have any red mana yet. Although we actually don't have any red mana spells, so playing the Scattering Groves may have been better there. We're still going at a pace that's pretty good for us. It's turn 4 and he's just playing his first card. The Regulator, again, it can be scary, but just by itself it really doesn't do anything, and he's really slow this game, so I think we're still in good shape. We still haven't drawn our new frontiers or our new perspectives, but we'll get there. So we're actually going to drop this Weirding Wood down. As much as I'd prefer to play it on a basic land, just for land destruction, I guess he could Field of Ruin us, but if he does, it slows, basically makes him take a turn off, which we're pretty okay with. Looks like he's going to be looting with the Regulator here. Blast Zone could be annoying long term, but as of right now, it's not too big of a deal. The only thing we have out is the Weirding Wood, and he'd have to spend several turns building it up. So Chandra actually has the potential to do a lot of burn to us. With the Regulator out, she can get up to 7 and ultimate really quickly and deal 7 to our face, which is quite a bit of damage. And the fact that she can hit several burn spells and follow-up spells, she can be scary ultimating. He did not choose to double the ability there, though. I think he's instead choosing to loot. The fact that Chandra is exiling the other Chandra, that's pretty fortunate for us. So again, we're still in pretty good shape here. Again, we haven't drawn our new frontiers, but we may not need it as quick this game. We're really not under any pressure whatsoever. Next turn, we may even get to the point where we can just straight up cast it if we draw an untapped land at some point. Although I guess if we cycle the Monitor here, we're in pretty good shape for that as well. So he's going to double up on putting loyalty abilities on his Planeswalkers here. Now, in response, we could cast out the other Chandra to prevent him from ultimating her. Although I'm not really scared of just 7 damage, and 2 mana on the ultimate isn't a ton. We can always cast out on the upkeep if we're worried about it. Cast out is just one of our nice little answers. So he is going to choose to up it rather than ultimating it this turn, which is probably a wise choice. He is keeping his mana open for a 2-drop of some sort, or maybe to loot with the Regulator as well. So we'll go ahead and we will cycle our Monitor here. We're going to go ahead and get our black mana. So we actually have 7 mana. We could cast Approach of the Second Suns here and treat this more of just like a control deck. He can burn us for 7. The question is are we really scared of that? At 22 life, the answer seems no. It seems like he's still pretty far away from beating us. So I think I am just going to cast this Approach. It may not be correct, but later on it'll make it easier for us to win. And it does get us that much closer to it already. So we'll play the land and pass it back to him. Now he does get to hit 14 cards here with the Regulator, just by paying the 1 mana, which is a lot of cards. But again, there really isn't a ton of burn in his deck, and he's cycling burn cards rather than sending them at our face. So I think that's fine. And we're at 29 life. We're still in really good shape here. So he does ultimate the Chandra, and I think you do pay the 1 colorless. You kind of have to here. To draw an extra 7 cards, it's kind of worth it to pay 1 colorless mana. Basically negates all the life we just gained with Approach of the Second Sun. Oh, he chose not to use the Regulator. Interesting. I'm curious to see if he's going to cast anything out of this pile. He does have a couple Chandras. The Regulator is worthless to him because it's legendary. It might be wise to play the second 4-drop Chandra to try and ultimate it again. He can ultimate it next turn if he does play it here. So he's going to cast the Novice Pyromancer here. Now he could tick this down for mana. Oh, no, he chooses not to. Ooh, that's actually really powerful. So he's going to give all of his +4, so he's going to hit us for 20 here, which is a lot of damage. Wow. He did 27 damage this turn. This is an insane swingy thing. I thought we were totally safe casting that approach. It appears maybe not, though. So we know our approach is 6 steps down. So really, Shock could win him the game here. If he would have cast that earlier, we would be in really a lot of trouble, but who knows if he had it. How much mana do we have here? So we have 8 mana. We know that approach is 6 cards down. This gets us 4 cards down, 3 cards down, 2 cards down, 1 card down, and gets us there. So we have to play this turn if we're going to pass the turn back to him. I think we have the potential to win, and we don't really have a way. The only thing that we could draw here, or we could attempt to do to try and win this turn, is to cycle both these Viziers, looking for a new perspectives as well as a Shadow of the Grave. We have to pretty much ringer hit those. Maybe not the Shadow of the Grave, but we for sure have to hit new perspectives. We do have 8 mana though, so we can cycle 1 land here just looking for the new perspectives. So we might as well go ahead and try that. And in the interest of mana efficiency, if we do cycle these Viziers, we can do that. So he's going to activate and loot. So we don't have to worry about a shock now. So we can draw, it's 5 cards down now. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and the clue makes 5. So we can for sure draw it next turn. We just have to survive this turn. He could always flash back with that Chandra to play around our Haze of Pollen. We could... Oh, he actually has the -2 with the other Chandra. So I think no matter what we do here, we're pretty much game over, or we have to go for it rather, because that can just kill us right here and now. So I think we have to play to our out here. I don't think that cast out changes anything for us, so I think we still have to keep going. Traverse, unfortunately, is not New Frontiers. So, well, we could always draw potentially into something that gains us life. So we might as well play to our outs. So we'll go ahead and pass it over to him and see if he sequences this correctly in order to win. All he needs to do is tick down his Chandra here or to create 2 1/1s, but we do have the Haze of Pollen to prevent that. Okay, well, he's going to have a burn spell in hand in order to beat us here. Because if we do untap, we just get to win with Approach the Second Sun. We're going to go ahead and cast our Haze of Pollen here. Looks like he's going to loot in response. So it makes it look like he doesn't have a burn spell. So we probably just win on our turn, even though we shouldn't have with this Chandra's Novice in play. But that's the power of Fog, I suppose. Got to be able to play around it. Now, he could make us shuffle with Field of Ruin, which I think is probably the play. Because otherwise we just draw Approach of the Second Suns and win. But he does have to realize that. So he exiles the top 2, hits a Chandra, Awakened Inferno, and a Lava Coil, which are both useless. So he does not make a shuffle. Yep, he loses here. Yeah, probably could have sequenced that a bit better, but we'll take the W. And like I said, you do have to play around it in order to actually lose, or to win here. So we'll go ahead and cycle our cast out, cycle our next cast out, and then we can go ahead and draw from our clue. There's our approach, play our forest, and we get to win the game. Hello there.
Yes, should have done the -3. Ah.
Yes, the -3. Well, you mean the -2?
Oh yeah, was it a -2? I thought it was -3.
Yeah, on the Chandra. Actually, the other thing too is you could have Field of Ruined at the end instead of playing that treasure map, and you would have shuffled my library the approach away.
Oh.
So that
Mm.
would have been a good option for you too.
Yeah, fair. It was so close though.
It
Oh well.
was. You never know if
That
you have
first
that fog in hand, but you know.
that first one was just brutal because I had the first hand had nothing but lands. So I'm like, okay, I can't keep that. Then the second hand had only one non-land card. So I'm sitting there going, I'm like, so do I have to mull down to 5? And so I will stick with 6. So that was why the first one was just so slow, and then that just one punt.
Yeah, yeah, it was close. I mean, you never know what would have happened in game 3 too, but you know, now moving forward, I'm sure you'll definitely play around that fog.
Yeah, forgot about that.
Mhm. Mhm.